Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Binta Kistia. Today, I'm going to tell you a story, the title of The Tall Grass. Okay, now let's begin.
I'm lost in here.
Did you hear that?
Someone out there? Cal?
Becky!
Something's not right about this. I think we should head back to the road.
Becky!
Travis?
Who are you? What's going on?
I came looking for you!
What?
How did you get here before us?
I don't know.
My boy, he's lost in here too.
This is nuts!
It's only a field.
What's happening?
He went the other way!
I'm never gonna find her.
You can find things, but it's easier once they're dead.
How long have we been here?
I'm not sure.
That sounded like me.
This field doesn't make any sense.
I'll name one thing in here that does.
You think this is just chance? We're all here for a reason.
Becky!
Oh my god.
It's grass. It's just grass.
The film begins with the appearance of fast grass and thundering winds and the sounds of human screams. Then the scene switches to a man named Cole and a woman named Becky who are on their way. Becky, who is pregnant, looks depressed and seems to have a heavy burden, so that he had to leave his hometown for peace. It turned out that Becky was pregnant and her boyfriend didn't want to marry Becky. Long story short, Becky was experiencing vomiting symptoms and then pulled over in a large meadow. Suddenly, they heard the voice of a child from the vast meadow. It seems the child was lost there, and they took the initiative to help the child. Cole was the first to enter the grass, but Beck sensed something was off, and she became suspicious. She also followed Cole, who was already in the grass. She looked for the child's voice but never met him. His voice was sometimes close and sometimes far. Not only that, Becky, who often communicates with Cole, turns out that they never see each other. When they realized something was strange, they took the initiative to jump and to find out where they were. Their first jump was close together, and that made Becky relieved. Even though she was heavily pregnant, she tried to jump once more and found Beck was away from the jump in an instant. Beck is shocked by the incident, start to panic, and they look for each other, but haven't met. Until the night came, they hadn't met. In the midst of confusion, Beck suddenly met a strange man who looked shabby and most likely he has lost. He said he was looking for his wife and his son. They finally worked together to find a way out, but on the other hand, a lost call meets a child who looks strange and shabby. The child knows Cole and the pregnant woman. Even though he has just met the child, Cole asks, "How did you know?" The boy answered, "Because of a stone. The stone knows everything and knows what is in this tall grass." Then the boy invited Cole to come to the mysterious stone. And when he got there, the boy touched the stone and it was like something had happened. Then the boy asked Cole to touch the stone too. It looks like ancient carvings on the stone. When Cole was about to touch the rock, suddenly he heard Becky scream from the grass and he didn't touch the rock and ran to save Becky. The night passed. Then the scene switched to a man named Travis, Becky's boyfriend, who came to seek Becky. He realized his mistakes and wanted to meet her. Then, in his seek, he saw a lot of dusty cars near the church. Yeah, that place is where Beck and Cole get lost in the grass. He saw a Beck car parked there. He was suspicious and finally stopped the car there. Long story short, he suspected that Beck has entered the tall grass and he went in there. Travis was pretty smart to mark the way by tying the grass so he wouldn't get lost, but it's useless. The grass seems to want Travis to get lost. The grass that had been tied up by the Travis had now returned to its original state and made Travis lost. Until the day turned to night, suddenly he was visited by a child. This is the same child when he met Cole, but nature is slightly different. This child looks friendly and kind. This kid seems to know Travis very well and even knows Travis' name. This child asked, "Don't you remember?" Travis obviously didn't remember because he felt like it was the first time he had met the boy. The boy knew that Travis was looking for Becky, so the boy showed him the way to Travis and showed him where Becky was. It turned out that Becky was dead. Judging by her body, it seems that Becky had been dead there for a long time. Then this child spoke. "This land cannot move inanimate objects." Morning came. Travis took the necklace from Becky's pocket, and when noon came, Travis heard voice from the outside the grass field, and Travis asked for their help. It turned out that they were the family of the child, and the child was named Tobin. Tobin, who heard the voice calling for help, then told his parents. Their dog entered the grass and Tobin followed his dog. Tobin's parents also chased Tobin into the grass, and finally they get lost until the night. Tobin's father met a large rock in the middle of the grass field, as if sometimes supernatural, and if something supernatural had brought him to the rock. The night changed. Then someone came using a red car and they got out of the car, which turned out to be Becky and Cole. This incident was a time paradox incident. Travis, who had seen Becky die, suddenly heard the voice of Becky, who had just heard the voice of Becky entering the grass and looking for a way out. And suddenly they heard Tobin's voice. Yes, it was Tobin who has just entered the grass. Since this Tobin doesn't recognize Travis. Where is the Tobin's the early? Might as well be died like Travis found the carcass of Becky. They communicate with each other and gathered at one point, where the point is a drug carcass, because Travis knew from the previous Tobin that this land cannot move inanimate objects. Then they gathered to meet Tobin, who was near the charges of Tobin's dog. Finally, they all gathered. Travis looked shabby, and he was surprised to see Becky, who was still fit and healthy. They talked to each other. It turns out that Travis was trapped there for a month ago. Becky and Carl are confused because they know that Travis was in town before. Then they had the idea to leave Tobin to see the way out, and they traced the path to the building that Tobin saw. In the middle of the trip, Becky got a voice note from an unknown number on the phone. A woman's voice said, "Don't let Carl kill Travis. Stay with him or we will make repeated mistakes." Then the call was disconnected. It is clear that the caller here is previous Becky, who has experienced this incident. As they continued their journey, suddenly something caught their eyes, like the grass creature, and Becky fell unconscious. Then came Tobin's father, who saved Becky. They talked for a while, and finally they were led by Tobin's father to a giant rock eerily. They are asked to touch the stone in order to gain power, know everything, and take control of all the grass that is there. However, when Carl wanted to touch it, suddenly Tobin's mother came, who said that it was a lie. There was a fight between Travis and Tobin's father, until Tobin's mother was killed by her husband. They all fled, and Tobin was who found his dog that was still alive, followed the dog directions which led them to a building, and they rest for a while there. There, they fight about why did Travis leave Becky. While Tobin's father tries to get into the building, and they all hide on the roof. They get saw the curch outside the meadow, and that was their aim. They also saw Tobin's dog that was moving closer to the grass and disappeared. Then suddenly the dog was outside the meadow. It turned out that there was a portal, but suddenly Travis was dropped by Carl from the top of the building. Tobin sees the incident. Becky realized that Carl has done something to Travis. It turns out that the reason is that Carl likes Becky. Even though they are brother and sister, but they are stepsister. They run away and separate. Carl is being chased by Tobin's father and killed there. There were many corpse bones in that place. Yeah, it was Carl who was killed in the same place from different times. Travis wasn't dead. He was just passed out. Elsewhere, there is Becky, who is dealing with a strange grass creature. And then Becky makes a voice note with the same message. "Don't let Carl kill Travis. Stay with him or we will make repeated mistakes." Then Becky gave birth, and the baby became an offering to Big Rock, and she died in that place. Travis, who knows what happened, then fights against Tobin's father. Long story short, Travis won by killing Tobin's father. Now, remind Tobin and Travis are dying. If Travis dies, everything will happen again. But because Travis isn't died, he touched the rock to find a portal to get out of the grass field. After he found out the way, he took Tobin and spoke, "Please stop Carl and Becky from getting into the disgrace when you get out of here." Travis got the necklace he took from Becky's corpse that time and gave it to Tobin, and threw Tobin through the exit portal, and Tobin was already in the church. Tobin's the only one who can get out of there. Then saw Becky and Cole again. Then Tobin ran and convinced them not to get into the grass to stop his vicious circle. Then he gave the necklace that Travis had given him, and Becky believed him and traveled with Tobin. Travis, the only person trapped, dies of blood loss. Now, the vicious circle is broken because the reasons people to enter there is dead, but those who haven't entered there can still live, and the films end. Okay, that's a story of the title A Tall Grass. Okay, hopefully you enjoy this story, and thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to click like and comment. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.